So, a couple of things that we learned about high performing accounts overall. So, when we're talking about these, we had 2 million accounts that were pinning both in November and January, and we looked at the average number of saves per pin on those 2 million accounts, and we asked the question: Does follower count matter? So we had four groups, and one of the groups we looked at was those that had higher than average engagement consistently across those 2 months. And then we looked at those with like low to high, high to low, and then consistently low. So, of course, our biggest indicators are going to come from the consistently high, consistently low. Those that had consistently higher than average engagement had an average follower count of, okay, it's 50,000.
That's the average that you thought that when it you saw they had to have
That's
50,000.
the average of those accounts that have higher than average engagement across those 2 months.
So what does
Their
that say
average
for
follower
us that
was
don't have that?
50,000.
Are we just out of luck? What do we have to get that
Yeah,
magic number?
I mean, I there are, I think, a lot of explanations possible here. One is that they could have been on Pinterest for a very long time from the beginning
Hmm.
when it was easier to get a lot of followers, and perhaps they have some kind of trust with the algorithm. Don't really know. Maybe those accounts are also the ones that are using Pinterest ads to expand their reach. Maybe. But whatever the reason, the higher follower account correlates to more saves. But I
So
will
I
say, like, yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I want to know if one of the reasons I would love to go back and see if all those high performing accounts are using story pins really heavily because because you know how it goes. I just think that may
Yeah.
have something to do with it, but they don't ask me
Yeah,
about this
it
data
could.
study. But
It could. We will be able to look at that more closely in the near future, like
cool.
what kinds of pins people are saving, which will be really helpful. But I think, like we've always said, follower count doesn't really matter on Pinterest. Um, Pinterest themselves aren't really saying that anymore. So they have signaled that they want to be a place to connect users to the people who inspire them, the creators. So that means that community and followers will likely become more important over time. I don't think Pinterest will ever not be a place that you can search and discover. But this new angle that they're kind of pursuing makes followers matter. So, like, how do you get more followers?
Yes, so let's pump
Um,
the brakes right there because that's what I
yeah,
wanted to talk about. So like a lot of us are like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, for so long we've just not talked about that, and now
I know.
you're saying we need the more followers, the better our account does. What are we gonna do?
And I mean, that could all be like just correlation, causation, confusion, right?
Right.
That could be. However, with Pinterest saying that this we're changing, this is going to be more of a place to connect, that indicates that followers will matter.
So how do we get more
So,
followers?
okay. So I would say start with your existing other audiences. So your blog audience, your email audience, they already love your content. So they're going to be more likely to engage when they see it on Pinterest, which is further going to increase your reach. For that, I really like the WordPress plugin MiloTree
Hmm.
that Jillian and David made. It's wonderful, and they're great people, so I like to support them. um, but you can also share like what we're pinning mentioned in your emails, or embed pins or boards on your site just to encourage the people who you know already like your stuff to follow you on Pinterest as well.